this lesson, we will learn about AI, pathfinding, and setting up events. I've opened up the AI and events scene from the tutorial project. As you can see, I have already placed the FPS controller inside the map. The player then walks through this hallway, and it will see this light which flickers. But it cannot enter this door. However, behind this door are several monsters waiting. The player then continues his way and comes in this wide hall. If it goes up the stairs and it goes to this control panel right here, it can push a button on this control panel, and what happens is the lift or the elevator downstairs gets summoned upwards, and the doors where the monsters are also gets opened. The monsters will come or will run towards these AI points, and when they spot the player, they will automatically attack the player. If the player survives, because the player can shoot, then the player goes down the elevator and goes down here. However, there are other monsters waiting down here as well. So first off, let's try out this scene. This is the door where the monsters hide behind, but we cannot enter it. Here we have the control panel. As you can see, we can press it by using E. As soon as we press E, a couple of events happen. First off, the elevator starts going upwards. The second thing that happens, the AI event, or the pathfinding event, better said, of the two monsters hiding behind the door, they will move to the AI point A and the AI point B. However, the AI is made in a way that once it sees the player, it will start attacking the player when it can find a way. Another thing that happens when we press this control button is that the music starts playing, well, rather loudly or with a more intense tone. Let's see what happens. We can shoot at the monsters by pressing the left mouse button. There is the elevator. And I'll just run away from this creepy monster. We can reload our weapon by pressing R. Oh, it just hit us. And again. The first control panel up here controls the elevator that goes upwards once we have pressed the button. So let's select it, and we can see that the push button script is attached. That means that as soon as we are near with the player, the interaction icon appears, which is the little white hand. And once we press the E button, the switch sound will be played. If the control panel is not enabled, or the push button script checkbox is not enabled, then the interaction is not possible. Let's see what happens inside the Flowgraph editor once we press the button to interact with this control panel. As you can see, there's quite a lot of activity going on inside this scene. We have three control panels for the elevator. However, the first one that we've just selected is highlighted in red. The first thing that we're going to look at is the trigger delay, which is added to the music delay. As soon as we press the button on the first control panel, it will activate the trigger delay. Let's see where the trigger delay is. If we select it inside the Flowgraph editor, we can see that this pivot right here is also being highlighted in red. If we go to the script, we can see that the delay has 2500 milliseconds, or roughly 2.5 seconds. So that means that this trigger starts 2.5 seconds later. And once that trigger is done, then the music player is being played. And this plays the noise music. This pivot, which is also quite next to the control panel, it has the noise script attached to it. It simply plays a music file. You can set up the range, the volume, the pitch, and whether it should loop or not. You can also see that once it's being done playing, it also disables this noise. The next thing that it does, it opens the sliding door. So where is this sliding door? As you can see in the editor, it now has the gizmo placed over there. So let's go towards it. This sliding door, if we select it, we can see that it's enabled, but it's closed. As soon as we press the button, this door will slide open like this. Then we have the second sliding door script. The elevator also used this sliding door script, because the only thing an elevator does differently than a door is actually move upwards instead of going sideways. So once the control panel has been pushed or used, you can see that it's going to open, or that the elevator goes upwards. The same thing goes for the other control panels. The control panel down here is the middle one, and the only thing that one should do is toggle whether it goes up or down. So if the elevator is already up, it goes down, and when it's already down, it goes up. The other control panel, the last one, let me find it first, there we go. This one only takes care of that the elevator goes down and not up, so we should always close the elevator. Now let's get back to the AI. If we select one of these monsters, we can see that the monster AI script has been attached. We can see its health, whether it's being enabled, and whether it has a target. When a monster is in the range of the player, it will automatically start attacking the player. But right now it doesn't have a target, and it's also not enabled. If we go to the flow graph editor, we can see that if we push the first control panel, the one on the rail platform, then we can see it enables the monster AI. It does that for both the monsters. What's also important is to note the AI nav point's target. So this monster right here goes to AI nav point 1, and if we click on this button here, we go to object. And once we do that, we see that the first enemy goes towards this point. So it actually doesn't go to the first person player, which stands up here. It just moves to this point. However, since the player is still in this area, it will spot the player and then start moving towards the player. The same thing goes for all the monsters down here. However, these do not have an event set up for a target. They just act on whether the player is visible, or whether it can hear the player. Now let's have a look on how the weapon is being set up. We click on the character controller, or we list it and find it inside the scene. We go to the script tab. We are already aware of the fact that it has the FPS player script attached to it. We can set a few extra options. First off, we can say whether the flashlight should be on or off. We can then attach a weapon. The auto pistol is a prefab that you can load from the assets. We can also say what is the team position of our player. When it's a good guy and we have the enemies, which are the bad guys, then they will attack us. However, if we set it to bad, the AI will not attack us. If we set it to neutral, the AI will not attack us either. Another strong feature of the LetWorks engine is the built-in navigation mesh generation. The path finding in a scene like this is being automatically constructed with the push of a button. When you want to do so, go to Tools and click on Build NavMesh. In this options menu, you can specify two options. The important one here is the max edge length. The lower this number, the more detail will go into your NavMesh, but the longer it takes to build it. When you're done building, the NavMesh will automatically be shown. The blue areas represent the areas where an enemy can walk. If you go to View and click on Show Navigation, you can toggle it on or off. If we have a look at the door where the monsters are, you can see that the NavMesh goes straight through it. If we select the door and we go to Physics, then we see this option here, Nav Obstacle, which stands for NavMesh Obstacle. If we would check this, then the NavMesh would see this as an actual obstacle and not generate any navigation meshes inside this mesh. If we would run the scene now, the monsters would not be able to find us since they cannot find the path. And that concludes this lesson of the LetWorks engine.